I'm Sally Tierney, the owner of Clear Path Forward, an advocacy investigation firm in Virginia, and I love listening to the PI Perspective podcast because Matt interviews so many investigators that bring their unique expertise to the show. I've learned so much from them and look forward to every single episode. Thank you, Matt.
The Campbell Group has teamed up with PI Perspectives to offer listeners top-notch, affordable insurance solutions. Private investigators can get insurance for their business for as low as $305 per year. Apply now at piperspectivesinsurance.com and receive a quote back within 24 hours.
I want to talk to everybody today about ScopeNow.com. ScopeNow has been a big-time sponsor of this program for quite some time. And I just love their service. I've been using them since the beginning. I'm one of their beta customers, and it's been so awesome to see them grow into the business that they are today and just how they just keep reinventing themselves and pushing themselves to get more and more information. What it comes down to is ScopeNow is a tool that you definitely need to use if you do social media investigations, any internet research, and really spending less time digging around and looking for information. I think it's one of the best points of how ScopeNow can help you. Their AI platform, their analytics are amazing. You really get an idea of what you need. You're reducing the time, you're reducing the manpower that you're spending on doing this research because they're essentially doing it for you, and they're doing it correctly, which is most important. One of the new things that they're actually offering is this flagging system where you can flag behaviors and really highlight and look out for fraud. If you're doing a lot of fraud research, this is a fantastic tool, and you can set up alerts. So you have particular people that you're looking at, you can actually set up alerts to get notifications when the criteria that you set up is actually is flagged and goes off. It's really, really amazing. And their relationship and association analytics are top-notch, really cutting edge and really, really cool. When they brought that out on version 3, it was a game changer. I mean, really being able to see how people interact together and having that relationship, analysis is really, really something that's cool. One of the other things about being involved with ScopeNow is their ability to offer webinars. Their team is cutting edge on putting together and getting out really, really great content. If you're a member of ScopeNow, if you know who they are, you've seen them around on LinkedIn, you'll know that they're constantly doing webinars on these new websites that are coming out, and they're really staying on top of it. And don't forget, any reports that you generate, you can actually white label those reports and put your own logos on and really make them look professional, which could equate to more billing for you as well. So check them out today. It's www.scopenow.com. They're a great, great company. They should be one of the tools in your toolbox, along with whatever kind of search engines you do. You need to make sure that ScopeNow is a part of that suite. Scopenow.com.
Do you enjoy our podcast and the guests we bring you? Since 2019, Matt and his team have done their very best to give you amazing shows each week. If you feel like our show has helped you to be a better investigator, or maybe even inspired you to become an investigator, please let us know. We're looking for testimonials. Drop Matt an email with a recorded 20 to 30 seconds of you talking about this podcast. You can also email him something verbal about the website. His email is matthews@satellitepi.com. And if you really feel blessed for having this content, consider supporting Matt and our show by joining Investigator's Toolbox. You really have to see version 2.0, and at just 49 cents a day, it's a no-brainer. Now let's jump into this week's episode. Welcome to PI Perspectives. This week, we continue our annual look at OSMOSIS-CON. Today, we spend the entire episode speaking with Emcee, Sophia Salazar. She has a fascinating story of being at the right place at the right time and how it turned into an awesome OSINT career. If you're considering a career as a researcher, this episode is especially for you. So please welcome Sophia and your host, private investigator Matt Spaier.
And welcome everyone to this week's edition of PI Perspectives. This is Matt Spaier, your host. We are doing a highlight. We've got several shows where we're highlighting the Osmosis Institute's event that's coming up in New Orleans in October. Today, I'm very, very happy to have the MC of the event, Sophia Salazar. I want to welcome you to the program.
Thanks, Matt. Exciting to be here. Excited to get to talk to you again. And wow, it's been a while. So
It's been
definitely.
a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were chatting before we started recording that you and I guess, met in 2020 at the Osmosis event in San Diego. And that was a very special time for you leading up to it. So for those who don't know your background, why don't you get into a little bit as to how you ended up in San Diego and what's happened since then?
Yeah. I mean, I started off very much in academics. Never thought I'd end up on this route, but here we are. So I guess it all got started maybe 2019. I started an internship for Safe Abroad, which, back then it was very student travelers going abroad focused and just, protecting them wherever they went.
Mhm.
And that was up until the Beirut explosions in, I believe it was August 2020.
Right.
And so I was just on a shift, saw reports of, on social media. That's where the buzz kind of started.
Sure.
And then
Just to interrupt, for those who don't know the Beirut explosion, you probably will remember it if you see the video. It was this massive, massive explosion in the center of Beirut that nobody knew, like, if it was a terrorist attack or if it was just, some sort of accelerant that went off. I think it came down to like a warehouse. There was it fireworks or something in a warehouse that kind of went off, right?
Yeah, I guess like the initial thought on what was going on was like, oh, somebody stored fireworks in there.
Right.
It turned out like, I don't remember exactly which chemical it was, but there was some like unauthorized storage of a chemical in there in the warehouse. Yeah.
Right.
That led to the explosion in Beirut, the famous video, I think a lot of people have seen, of the bride in Beirut just running for her life mid photo shoot. And so we got reports of, we saw that buzz start to come in on social media. I was able to pick it up, kind of vet and verify what was going on, what was happening in the area, which direction the explosion was taking place in, kind of assess the area of damage. And I was able to, along with the team at Safe Abroad, disseminate that information approximately 20 minutes before it hit breaking news, which was, a record for sitting back there in an office in Connecticut, just being able to track something that happened on the other side of the world. So that was really my first big OSINT experience. And yeah, I ended up being nominated for Rising Star of the Year at the Osmosis conference. It was lovely to go in there. Back then it was very much still COVID time, so it was all virtual. Yeah. So I virtually did receive my award, which was amazing. And then, I returned the following year to San Diego for the conference, where I was able to present sort of on open source intelligence for global awareness, and got into a bit of like the different tools and sources that were used also in vetting and verifying that explosion in Beirut.
Right. Yeah, it's just kind of being at the right place at the right time and saying, "Oh crap, oh, what's going on here? What next?" Right?
Exactly.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. Pretty amazing. And I was gonna say there were so many independent videos of that out there. Like, it wasn't just one video; it was like the massive amounts of people from different angles in the city, which made it so impressive, and just really, it's just a really crazy thing that happened. Thankfully, it was not terrorism; it was just negligence. Which, thankfully for that.
But like you said, right place, right time. You really don't expect, something to. What starts off as a small event, or just like these little reports, you don't expect it to blow up into something that big.
Sure. So that gave you the bug, really, I guess, for doing open source investigations, right? So what was your next step in the process? Like, how did you get to where you are today?
So Osmosis conference, San Diego, made some good connections. I was able to talk to Cynthia, kind of get a feel for Hetherington group as well. Lots of rock stars over there. And so, yeah, it just kind of stemmed from there. After graduating with my undergraduate degree in national security and criminal justice, I applied to a position with the Hetherington group. And surprise, surprise, I'm in. And then I started off as a junior analyst, a lot of, similar monitoring for risk, kind of like the Beirut explosion. And then, yeah, just from there, I recently got promoted to senior analyst. And I'm excited to see what else is next.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, one thing I can say about Cynthia, and I've known her for a long time, I think probably like 2005. I'm dating myself here as to how old I am, but Cynthia and I go way back, and we're both New Jersey people at heart, and we've always had that connection. But to see how the Hetherington group has grown, and it's become so much more than just an education tool. It's a legitimate company that provides real-time information on all different levels. It's really impressive, and just seeing the culture that you guys have there is great. I know when we were in San Diego, I think we all went out for barbecue. It was really awesome. And then I think we ended it by all going out for sushi at the end of the conference, which was fun too. I think it was probably about 35 people at a table, which was interesting.
Yeah. I remember that. And back then it was like, wow, the Hetherington group, I hear they're rock stars. And then getting into it now, I'm just like, ooh, they were not lying about the rock stars part.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's cool. It's cool to see it grow and continue to grow and give back to the industry and just do these osmosis conferences, right? It's the 9th annual this year coming up in New Orleans, which it's so great to see it all come together. And I always tell people that this particular conference, I usually go to conferences and I'm either sponsoring with Investigators Toolbox or I'm there speaking on some other topic. And I don't really like sit in on the education. I'm just busy. I'm doing stuff. I go more for networking. But Osmosis is the one conference I go to every year where you'll catch me in the room learning all these new things that are out there. And for that specific reason, like I want to know what is the cutting edge of technology and where we're going. And I feel like this conference is the one that actually does that. It's worth my time to sit in the room is, I guess, the point that I'm making. And it's just every year it's different. And what I like about this year is that there are new speakers, right? There are a whole bunch of faces we haven't seen before. So you are emceeing this lovely event. So how do you feel about that? And what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. Obviously, like with my background, how I got here, I definitely have that strong connection to the conference. And yeah, like ever since I've started going to the conference, it's always been, the top of the top speakers, just being able to connect with different people in the industry and get that good training in. And I'm really excited to see, the new lineup of speakers. They all have amazing things to offer. And I think as, tech evolves, as we move on to new tools, new sources, there's always something new to learn. And that's what I love about Osmosis too, is I can sit in there and say, oh, sure, like I know how to maybe monitor for risk on a daily basis, but do I know how to do it with this refined ability? What other insights can I get? And there's always something new for everyone.
Yeah. We are way beyond sock puppets. Which are necessary. We love the sock puppet. It's important, right? But just seeing the new stuff that's out there, I'm excited for. And even with the vendors that come, I mean, sometimes you sit down, it just blows your mind the type of tools that are available that are out there. So on many different avenues, going to this conference for networking, for education, and for making those connections with the tools that are out there. I think there's so many benefits to being there, and I think if this is 9, I think I've been to like 6 or 7 over the years, which is amazing. And I look forward to it every year. I look forward to seeing my friends, and the whole thing with Skull Games too. So that's another thing you guys are doing. You're starting a couple days early, and running a competition with Jeff Teagues and his group at Skull Games, which I think is fantastic.
For sure. They just conducted Skull Games back in New Jersey.
Right.
And I am so sad and devastated that I didn't get to participate that time around, but I guess now's my time to make that up pre-osmosis.
Yeah,
So,
those Heatherton Group people, they actually want their employees to do work, like on their assignments. I'm sure you're
I know how
their books, right?
Yeah. But I think it's going to be a great build up to the conference. Especially, just getting everyone together in a room to collaborate on Skull Games, and then, transitioning slowly into the conference is definitely going to be, great, not only for the cause behind Skull Games, but also for, just networking, getting familiar with who's in the industry, and all that there is to offer.
Yeah, it's a fun transition into, the educational part of it. It's really, really a great way to just get yourself in the right mindset for doing things. And that's not even to mention any breakouts or anything, prior. There's always a pre-con thing that's going on as well, that helps you get in the right mindset. I know there's been quite a few over the years, pre-con things where you can't even get in. Like you be on time or there's no seat for you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember Amber Schroeder always, like if Amber's talking, you better make sure you're on time because you're not going to get a seat.
Yeah.
But it's
been crazy too to see the conference grow and gather so much attention. So year after year, it's not only, I'd like to look at it as an academic from the point of view of, hey, we're graduating on to the next level. What's up with the next conference? What, how more complex are things going to get? But also, bigger crowd. It's always expanding and it's exciting.
Yeah. And there's always the theme, right? There's always some sort of little background theme over the years that, on every topic kind of just touches on it a little bit just to kind of thread it all together, which I think is cool. Like who can forget like Surf's Up in San Diego, right? and it was all that surface web, right? Talking about things, OSINT and things that are out there. So I give you guys a lot of credit for being creative, and keeping everything together, which is great. So we're going to jump out and take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to just talk a little more about the conference, maybe a little more about your background and what, you hope to see going forward with Osmosis and, what that whole event you want it to kind of look like. It is as an MC, people think, oh, it's just an introduction, but there's a lot more to it. So everybody sit tight and we will be right back.
Specializing in the research of liability for personal injury claims, Pacific Liability Research offers insurance assessments of all applicable liability coverages to help determine what a case is potentially worth. Have a case with no insurance policy? Since 2019, the highly trained staff on their insurance discovery team has located over 100 million plus in previously unknown insurance coverage. They offer a full refund for any inaccurate results, and they do not charge for no-hit searches. Additionally, Investigator's Toolbox members automatically receive 50% off their first case. Just mention Investigator's Toolbox when you fill out your first order. More information can be found at pacificliability.com. Contact them today and discover the immediate impact that Pacific Liability Research can provide. Check out the PI Institute of Education at piinstitute.com. Since 1989, Kelly Riddle has been teaching on subjects such as surveillance, nursing home investigations, insurance fraud, domestic investigations, hidden assets, and accident scene investigations. The PI Institute of Education is a featured learning partner in the investigatorstoolbox.com. So check out the free content on the site, then visit the Institute for more great savings on additional classes.
And welcome back to PI Perspectives. This is Matt Spaier, your host. Today, we're talking all things osmosis. The Osmosis Conference is taking place in New Orleans this year from October 15th to 17th. And there'll be a little pre-conference Skull Games event going on, too, if you want to get there a little bit early. We are talking with the MC for the whole event, Sophia Salazar. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, so we covered a lot of points about why to attend, osmosis and the benefits of it. So as an MC, like, what would you want the attendee to take away from this? If it could be one thing that they take away, what do you think is like the most important takeaway from the event?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think I would have to say, just that, the lineup of speakers that we have every year, it's the top of the top. So maybe even if you're not working exactly in the same kind of project that they are, or the exact example that they use different tools and different, pieces of advice for, I promise you that that advice and that those speaker sessions definitely will apply and help you to some extent, whether it's on a different kind of case, whether it's just, maybe one tool that was introduced. But yeah, that's my takeaway. You can apply every speaker session to, your work at some point.
Definitely. I think you bring up a really good point. That whole discussion with other professionals, right? Here's my challenge. Here's what I'm trying to do, or here's what I did the last time I had this problem. It kind of worked out. Is there a better way to do this? Or I'm stuck on this. What do you think I should do? Right. That meeting of the minds for, it's not a 30-second elevator pitch. It's not hey, this guy's trying to sell me something. These are honest conversations, maybe over a cocktail. If it's bits or bites, maybe you got a little food in front of you, where you're getting those honest conversations about workflow and tools and techniques on doing things. I think one of the major benefits, in my opinion, is the networking, right? I mean, I think you're a perfect case study, right? There's a gal that had an idea about something, was getting an award because something happened, right place, right time, wanted to go into academia. And then all of a sudden, wow, I have all these amazing opportunities to do this really interesting work. And that was relationships that were fostered at a particular event, right? Who knew you?
Exactly.
Here,
and
right?
and also the vibe at Osmosis that everybody wants to share, bringing back that hashtag OSINT for good. Everybody wants to make a difference. Everybody wants to make a change. Everybody wants to, just be helpful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you said, not trying to sell a product in particular, just spreading awareness of, how to be better, what makes a better analyst in the first place or investigator.
Yeah.
And yeah, that goal to succeed.
I think like what one of my goals further down the line is there a ton of OSINT people that go to these things that play instruments. We got to have live music. I think we got to grab some OSINTers and just like do a jam session. I think it would be so cool.
I think so too. Yeah, that would be great.
It should have been New Orleans because it's like in jazz capital, right? But I'm going to put it in the speaker box. Suggestion.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. I've played cello for about like 8 years. So for starting this jazz band, count me in.
Yeah, I mean, I remember having conversations with a whole bunch of people, speakers even, over the years. And it's like, oh, you play guitar? Oh, wow, I play bass, I play drums. It's like, oh, maybe I'll bring my gear out. I'm like, just let me know. I'll pack my bass and let's do this, right?
Yeah, something about OSINT going with instruments, right? Like they just go hand in hand.
I think we have to do that. Yeah. we can do all this rock stuff with a little orchestral cellos on the side. I'm sure somebody probably play some other strings too. We'll find someone for
maybe. Yeah. Next pre-conference event, it's just gonna be like Osmosis band for Guitar Hero.
I know Cynthia's probably going to listen to this at some point. So hey, Cynthia, suggestion here. Let's do live music. Let's start recruiting, and we'll put a playlist together. None of that DJ stuff either. It's all got to be instruments. No turntables. But we digress here. So like being able to getting back to this, to be able to have those relationships, and the fact that you're sharing a space with somebody for 3 or 4 days really gives you the time to understand someone's techniques. It's not that quick, hey, this is how you do this stuff. You can have those long drawn out conversations, and it's so beneficial to be able to do that, and just being able to understand it. And you're, as you're saying, there are heavy hitters in the room. There are people that are well respected in this industry, that know what they're talking about. And what's cool is that when you're there, you're peer. Like everybody treats each other the same way. It's not like, oh, here's this noob, get out of my way. No, this is somebody that is learning about something. And you brought up a good point, the whole sharing thing, right? Which is probably about 7 years or 8 years now that the smoke and mirrors are gone and people are actually showing and sharing techniques on how to do things. What are your thoughts on that?
I found it, well, considering also my background, it was a learning experience. I walked in, using maybe a couple tools that helped me with that Beirut explosion, and what I was doing on the daily with Safe Abroad. And, taking what I learned from the conference and seeing kind of what's out there, what else can be done besides, just these niche things was a huge eye opener. Not even to mention that, once you're in there, if there's anyone in the OSINT space that you looked up to or that you had a question for, and you just finally get the chance to ask them, walk up to them and say, hey, I've been seeing your work. I have this question for you. I wanted to know this. And really, well, technically no one can deny you the knowledge unless
Right.
they want an awkward conversation. But yeah.
Well, there's one thing about us OSINTers, so some of us can be a little, the social skills can be a little limited. It's only to hide behind a computer a little bit, but like guys like Chris Poulter, right? Coming all the way from Australia, like, and he's the OSINT Combine, like, he's got a really good thing going there, and it's another one that just likes to give back to the industry and making sure that everybody's on the same page of doing things. Like, it's just been such a wave, such a really cool wave of this knowledge going forward. And honestly, it's an honor for me to be part of it. Sometimes I feel like I don't deserve to be in the room, but I like to talk about it, right? But it's amazing and humbling, and just a really, really cool experience.
In one word, I would agree with humbling by far.
Yeah. And the MC keeps everything moving, right? That's part of the job.
Yep. I was saying, ironically, I show up a minute or two late to my personal things, and it's my job now to keep everything exactly on time. So it'll be an exciting little twist here.
Oh, I thought you were late to the meeting when they were deciding who was going to do it, and they just gave it to you.
Yeah, I walked in late, and they said,
right, hey, Sophia, it's your job. we elected you the MC of the conference.
Yeah, so at that point, you just smile and nod.
Exactly. Thank you for that opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And I know I talked about it a little bit earlier too, like Bits and Bytes is another really cool thing. As somebody who has done that as a presenter, I think 3 times already, it's fast and is really fast. 1 hour of just, talking, or actually, I think it's like an hour and a half. You get like 5 or 6 minutes to talk about a certain thing. It's a challenge. I've done it a few times. I'm looking forward to other people doing it. So
yeah, I remember sitting in on Bits and Bytes, and I looked around, and there were quite a few like different topics that I wanted to get to. Yeah. So just being able to like rotate and switch, I was like, oh man, I got to get to this one. I got to get to this one. And you'd think like an hour and a half is a long time, but by the time you're trying to get to where, to your next topic, it's just, the hours just gone by.
It breezes by. One of the complaints I always had was, like, as somebody who was presenting one of these things, I missed all the food and missed all the drinks, like, because I'm just constantly talking, and I'm exhausted afterwards, man. Like, it's a lot, but it's cool. I'm looking forward to sitting in on more of those. I know they asked me again this year, like, hey, you want to do it? I said, not this year. I'm good.
But it's a real skill, especially for the Bits and Bytes presenters, to condense so much information into one tiny little session.
Right.
Yeah,
definitely a challenge. So, like, what are some of the things you see coming in the future in this space? Some of the things you'd like to see happen, or if you had your way.
I guess combining, well, I'm getting my master's degree in criminology right now, seeing how I can incorporate OSINT into all my school projects there. But I guess the one thing that I'm seeing that's going across both spaces has definitely been the use of AI and what it means for us going forward. So not only is the conference going to address that, which I'm looking forward to, but I'm also looking forward to getting the point across of, hey, AI is never going to replace us. And I think it's been, beat to death at this point. But it's the truth. AI just can't replace, the human, the decision maker. So that's definitely something I'm watching out for in the space and just seeing what comes next.
Yeah, and it's weird. So last year was the metaverse, right? Everything's going into the metaverse. That kind of didn't happen, right? Now it's AI, deep fakes, right? That was a big thing last year, and which is it's still there. I mean, that's still an issue. But AI has been around for a long time. I mean, if you look at Scope now, like one of your sponsors, great company. I mean, amazing company. I've been working with them since day one. I think 2017. I've been with them. They were doing AI before AI was popular. Their whole platform was basically using that technology to really cut down on the, I call it the white noise, the information that's out there that isn't relevant to your investigation, right? So it's been around for a while. We've all used it without realizing we're using it,
Exactly.
But the idea that someone's going to write a report that's going to replace you or have better things or do research is kind of ridiculous if you think about it. Because again, if you look, it only goes up to a certain amount of time, right? It's not like it's point in time 2023. No, there's like a 2-year gap on the information that's in there, and it's not perfect. It's only as good as the queue that you put in there, and then it's not even 100%. You got to go fact check. Ask some attorneys that got sanctioned for quoting memos of law that didn't exist, right? That kind of stuff is happening.
And I guess like the problem in the past was, even gathering this information. So, it took like an analyst and investigator, like so many hours just to go out and find the information they needed. And now we're in this age where there's so much, it's backwards. There's so much information out there that it's not the analyst, taking the time or the hours of the day to go figure out like, where can I get this information? Now it's really turned into, I have dozens and like thousands of points of information. Now I just have to sit through and check what is real, what's not, and that entire process of vetting and verifying. So
when are we all going to be required to carry AI insurance for writing reports on stuff that's not real, like errors and omissions? Like when are they going to have an AI clause that if you're using AI, it's going to up your premium? I think it's coming. Next thing.
I would not be surprised at this point. But it's exciting to see what AI can do as a tool to help the analyst get information quicker. But definitely it can, in my opinion, it can never replace the human or the decision maker behind all that information.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, because there are definitely some benefits to it as far as time. And I think like maybe that's how that model, or how AI affects the model of how we build in our industry, right? We can't really build the hourly anymore because I'm asking a question and getting an answer to it, right? So maybe it's we have to change the way we're building things, right? I could see that happening. But there are some good tools. There's a guy out in California, a PI named Jay Paulino, who wrote a really good article in the Working PI magazine on using AI as an investigator and some of the tools that are out there to use it. So it's not just, hey, here's AI, it's coming, we should use it, or you can use it for that. He's actually giving specific use cases for it. And one of the things he talks about was, doing research in a particular county that he wasn't familiar with. He used the AI just to kind of source, like, who do I need to contact, or how do I go about getting this information, right? So now that time factor is going down a bit, right? So like stuff like that, I think is important on how we're doing things.
Exactly. It's making us more efficient in the long run. So we can just pivot to something more complex.
Yeah, just no more billable hours. It's all
Yeah,
gotta be.
exactly.
It's got to be for service, not for the hours.
Do $20 an hour, and you don't even. It doesn't even take you a minute to get the information. So
Yeah, yeah. I
doesn't
think
matter.
I think if Cynthia is billing you at $20 an hour, I think there's a problem. So someone should talk to her about her model. Um, so
For legal purposes,
yeah,
this is
informational purposes
strictly
only.
an example.
I was like, darn girl, right out of school, she got you cheap.
No.
Yeah, you're an Emcee now. You got to even asking for more dollars here. So all joking aside, the conference is amazing, and getting back to it, right? These are the things that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about AI. We're going to be talking about, the future of our industry and where it's going. You definitely want to be there. And I always walk away from Osmosis saying, like, this was time well spent. And again, getting back to what I do, like, I actually sit in on these things. I participate and make sure that I'm coming back. So we're going to wind down here. Sophia, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your experience and how you got to where you're at. So folks, you want to go check it out, that the Osmosis conference. It's in New Orleans from October 15th to the 17th. Just Google Osmosis Conference 2023 and you'll find it. The Osmosis Institute is what's hosting it through the Hetherington Group. How do folks get in touch with you, Sophia, if they have any questions?
So one thing, well, for me personally, you can email me at sophia@hetheringtongroup.com. For any other inquiries related to the conference, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's admin@osmosisinstitute.org.
Okay. Or something close to that. Figure it out.
Yeah.
You get a couple of bounce backs, it's fine.
Listen, you gotta OSINT it to make
exactly.
it
Prove your worth.
Yeah.
Challenges. That's great. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for checking us out. I chose to spend a little more time with Sophia because I thought that her story was pretty awesome of how she got to where she is, and it's inspiring. So hopefully we're inspiring some listeners out there, people that are considering getting into the industry or doing some things to take a route similar to yours.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you everyone for checking this episode out, and we'll see you next time on the next episode.
Now, doesn't Sophia have an awesome story? It's amazing what some networking can do for your career. So consider making it out to New Orleans next month if you can. Toolbox members save $100 when you sign up for Osmosis. Details are in the discounts and benefits section on the site. We also want to thank Campbell Insurance Group for sponsoring the show. Remember to tell them you listen to save $50 when you apply for insurance. Additional thanks to our newest sponsor, Pacific Liability Research, PI Institute for Education, and Scope Now for sponsoring our podcast. Scope Now is a sponsor for Osmosis as well, and they'll have a table. So go check out 4.0. Also, don't forget about investigationstoolbox.com. You can type in version 2.0 25% to save $50 when you join. If you have a question or a comment about the show, email Matt at matthews@satellitepi.com. You can also find him on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We'd like your feedback to bring you the best shows possible, and we'll be back next week with a brand new show, so make sure you tune in and stay safe out there.